So this video is going to give you some ideas of what you can use your half dome for, but don't worry, even if you don't have a half dome, you could use a pool noodle or a rolled up yoga mat can also give you similar results. Now you're going to be really familiar with the traditional stretch that we do every class, feet pointing forward, pelvis width apart. But once you have mastered that version, you could do some rainbow loads here. So you could turn the foot out by bringing the heel in. Yeah, and you can do various angles. So you can bring the heel in out a little bit more, and out a little bit more, and out a little bit more, and even more. So you can play around with it. You can spend as long as you like in all the different angles, just to give your tissues and joints different loads to adapt to. Now this version is with a bent knee, so you can bend that knee forward, making sure that that heel doesn't lift up off the floor. We're going to try and really keep that heel anchored down, and also trying to keep the knee tracking straight on. So when you bend the knee, try not to let the knee collapse in and rotate inwards. We're going to try and keep the knee going over the second and middle toe as it bends, so we don't want to go out to the side either. And you can go back to your traditional stance, feet pointing forward and pelvis width apart, and you can do some shifts from side to side. Again, you can play about with the width here. You can take your feet just a little bit wider and anchoring down onto that heel, making sure that heel's not lifting up. And each different stance, each different width is going to provide you a different experience for those cells to adapt to. Again, always reaching down into that heel. And so we've done our rotating our feet relative to our body. So now we're going to keep our feet still and trying to rotate our body relative to the feet. Think of the pelvis rotating round rather than just your shoulders. And don't force anything, just go nice and gentle. This is one of my favorites, keeping your heels anchored to the floor. And we can do a little forward and back movement here as well. If you need to hold on to something, you can. And again, making sure that that heel stays on the floor, so it's not raising up as you step forward. You can make the movement, your step, as small as it needs to be. It doesn't have to be a big step forward. And this next one is our double calf stretch, placing both feet onto your dome, one each end, roughly pelvis width apart. You can hold on for balance. So it's that pelvis that's untucking, it's that tailbone floating up, creating some length and distance up the back of your leg. And then you could also allow the body to drape forward. This is a different stretch. It's kind of a connective tissue stretch. If you like, you can hold onto your legs or onto your chair, or you can just simply let your body hang if your body's fine with that. You can even do some rocks from side to side, getting into different angles of the tissues in your body, up the back of your body. Just feel like a rag doll here. Pelvis staying still though. Now we can also flip this dome upside down, and you can use something to hold on to for balance here, stepping onto the dome with one foot, and you're going to test what your balance is like here. Now the dome's going to rocks, so you might feel that rocking and challenging on your balance. We're going to try and quieten the rocking down to try and keep the dome from moving. And you can, as you build up strength, you can try not holding on for balance, and that challenges it. You can see the ankle wobbling, and you're just trying to quieten it, trying to keep that flat edge straight up. Now if you sit a lot, and you tend to sit in this tucked position, which your body doesn't love, so this dome's actually really handy. You can sit onto it, again kind of upside down, and it helps to get that pelvis in a more neutral position for a much happier pelvis and a much happier pelvic floor. So no tucking, but trying to sit with that pelvis untucked. Good, and it's also quite handy just to kind of practice that tuck and untuck, getting some movement in your hip joints and movement in your spine as well. Making sure it's not the rib cage that's moving up and down, but the rib cage stays still and it's the movement's coming from your pelvis moving. You can also take this to the floor and try your curls and uncurls here. You can sometimes feel a really nice stretch in your lower back as you curl that pelvis under. You can sometimes feel like you're getting getting deeper into the curl. I've just lifted my hands up so you can see more what's going on. And again, we're going to make sure that it's not coming from that rib cage moving, but trying to get some movement in your lower spine, trying to get that pelvis curled. Not just your lower spine, your hips too. And this next one is one of my favorite things to do with it, giving your calf muscles a gentle massage. Now you don't have to cross this leg over, but that just provides extra pressure if you want it. And you can just rock from side to side and bringing the dome up to different heights on that calf and create different loads, different massaging. And again, you can go for as long as you like here. I'm just quickly showing you. And keep changing it. You can get into some good spots. You can put as little or as less pressure on you as you want there. And this one is a little intense, so especially if you're using the dome, you're going to be mindful here. But by just placing some pressure onto the dome and kind of digging into the calf muscles. If that's too much, you're welcome to lean forward. And the higher up you sit, the more more load you're placing on it. And again, you can play around with where on your calf muscles you are sitting. You can move the dome a little bit further up, getting into different spots. You might feel some sensitive spots. Again, you're going to be careful here. This is pretty intense. This one's not for everyone, so if it's not for you, feel free to skip any of the exercises that don't appeal to you. These are just for ideas that you can use this prop for. Again, if anything feels too much, you can tip forward and you still get some benefit out of it, but not putting all that load on it. Now this again is increasing the intensity, so you can be aware of that, so you can be mindful. And gently wiggling the pelvis from side to side kind of slides the dome onto your calf muscles. Again, you can tip forward for less load. You can play around with the height of the dome here. This is actually one of my favorites as well, even though it is pretty intense. I can't do it every time. Okay, and then moving on to your back, we can place the dome the normal way up, I guess, and onto about your you can have it at your lower rib cage at the back, and just by gently rocking side to side, you can just give your back a gentle massage. And you can kind of walk, you can shift your way down your mat, and as you shift down, your dome is hitting higher up on your back. And then you can walk back up as well. Again, you can if there's a tight spot that you want to stay longer in, you don't even have to rock from side to side quite so much. Just playing around, doing some exploring for your body. And then we're going to do some thoracic stretching here, an extension of your spine. Try not to throw your head back. And you can do this at different heights. Thinking of your upper spine draping over the dome, but trying to keep the bottom of your rib cage down. So your bottom of your rib cage isn't lifting up, your head's not throwing back, but just trying to get a little bit of movement in your upper spine draping over it. Don't be looking for a huge movement here. And finally, you can use it as a little headrest so that you can rest after all that work. Great job, guys.